You have to go out there and try.
Blah, y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you want to hide from your drama or maybe hide from your baby mama. Just kidding. Y si tú quieres cambiar tu vida, if you want to change your life, then subscribe. Ching. And by the way, guys, I just published a book called Shabbat in Chicago. It's about an audacious single mom who opens her heart and home to 5 adopted kids while embracing her Latino culture while being Jewish. And today we have a very special guest. He is 3 times world champion of Power Slap, the one and only John Davis. Woo!
Let's go. Let's go.
Brother, it's an honor, man. You don't understand. Like, I'm so excited you're here. I had to call your secretary. You know, I had to make a few calls, and she said, "Okay." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the secretary and management, man, they get a little bit rough around these parts. So I'm glad we were able to link up.
Yeah, brother, I got worried. I didn't know if I should bring flowers. You know what I'm saying? But look, brother, I want to tell the fans a little story. I think it'll be a nice. So something happened to me when I was like, this is like back in the days, and at that time I was struggling. I had like a part-time job, and I went to do a checkup with the doctor. And I remember I went, and the way it works is you pay after your checkup. So I did my checkup and everything, and I didn't have insurance at that time. And the doctor said, "Look, it's gonna be $40, cash." He's like, "Only cash. I do take card, but my card didn't have enough." And I said, "Oh snap, $40." So I was like, "Look, doc, I'll be right back. Let me just go to the ATM right here, the bar, and I'll bring the cash. I'm for real. I'll leave my keys, my driver license, so I didn't get away with a free, checkup. So give me a chance." He's like, "All right, cool. I believe you not because you left your wallet and everything." Okay, cool. So I go next door to this bar, right? The lights are on. There's no one around me, by the way. I saw like a bartender, maybe she walked by. She came back, "Hey, you need anything, honey?" I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm gonna go to the ATM." She said, "Oh, okay, take your time." So I go there. Brother, you're not gonna believe it. The moment I get there and where the money comes out was $40.
Dang.
It was wild. Miracle. So I asked anybody around, "Hey, is this, like anybody's?" No one. So it was like meant to be. And that money, it's a miracle I was able to pay the doctor, but it's just things like that. You never know how the universe works. So I wanted to share that story that happened to me. And what about you, brother? Anything that you could think of that maybe what the fans don't know, something that happened to you, you'll never forget?
Well, in that scenario of the universe kind of pointing you in a direction, I can correlate. Maybe a week or two ago now, like just working to make that dollar, and I was working some overtime, and then about halfway through the day, it wasn't necessary. Company wasn't demanding it. I didn't have to be doing it. I was like, hey, I'm gonna head out early, go home, spend some time with the family. Got 2 of my sons loaded up in the cart, so that way I could push them going on a run. And as we're running, usually, I'll throw my headphones in. I'm pushing them along. They're normally either fighting or talking or doing whatever brothers do. And then I see both of them. They look over, and I'm like, "What are y'all looking at?" Like, if you got both your attention, it had to be something that was, pretty prevalent. And I see this car window rolled down, and I'm like, someone, like someone trying to talk to them, or like I'm thinking someone lost a dog, someone lost, a parent, someone's losing their marbles and they're looking for somebody. But come to find out, it was actually a buddy of mine I hadn't seen in years, and it was the guy I used to work out with. And with that guy is how the machine, my fight name, was born. So it was one of those scenarios where if I hadn't decided to leave work early that day, if I didn't come home and decide to go with a run with the boys and just so happened to be the way that I'm running at that exact time. I haven't seen this guy in years. He pulls up on the corner. He whips up on the curb, dude. I mean, parks his car. It's still running, flings the door out, runs over. I'm dripping sweat. He runs up, gives me a big old hug, and we talk for a good couple of minutes. But it was one of those days, and like I'm saying, one of those moments where the universe was just like, hey, this is meant to happen today. And on top of that, there was like, between the 5 or 6 road workers, and I had an older woman stop and ask me if I was training for a marathon, and just one of those things where like all this stuff was happening at once, and all these people that I didn't know were stopping to say hi, and I happened to run into someone I hadn't seen in years that, he's like, bro, you did it. You freaking did it. Like where we were at when we were first working out, and where you're at now is just insane. But that's one of those scenarios. I'm going to say the universe gave me a sign to go home that day and have a great day, and that's what it turned out to be.
Wow, what an amazing story, man! Like the right place at the right time is wild. And brother, please, if you could share too, like how was it, growing up in your neighborhood, and like what was it like, your upbringings, and if you could share any like stories.
When I was a kid, I grew up on an ostrich farm in a place called Homeworth, Ohio. So I was out in the middle of nowhere, wrangling ostriches. And once the ostriches were done, we had some cows, horses, goats, chickens. I grew up like when I say blue collar redneck lifestyle, like I can't, like my roots, no matter where I've tried to go or who, whatever idea I've tried to make myself, I couldn't outrun that and get away from it. So I've had to embrace it. But until I was about like 12 or 13, we lived out on the farm. So, farm life was always there because the buddies I had from school always needed help doing something, whether it was baling hay, working on a car, a tractor, whatever the scenario was. So that, for the most part, when my younger years, is how I grew up. And then once I got a little bit older, I actually lived in town. It was crazy because it was so easy for me. We didn't lock the door on the farm, so I could just walk out and I could go wander for miles, dude. I would be 5 or 6 miles from the house, and my dad would ring a bell, ding ding ding, and the rule was I have 5 minutes to get home, bro. So I'd be trucking through the woods, jumping creeks, all sorts of craziness to try and get back to the house. And then by the time I was getting into my teens, family had split apart and was living in different areas, but I moved in town. So it went from being this secluded area with a creek to now I've got all the restaurants in town, neighbor kids that I can play with. And of course, in town compared to the country, I was not scared of anything, but I definitely was always getting into something, whether it be, trouble, or the first time I got an ice cream man to drive by my house. So that was all sorts of new experiences that a lot of people were like, what? I didn't have cable until I was 13. So I grew up with nothing but antenna until, I was a teenager. I was watching PBS with, like Arthur and stuff like that, because that was what was on when I got home from school, and that's all we had.
Wow. No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that show, every day I'm walking down the street, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
You
still
know what I'm
watch it today,
saying?
man. I still turn it on for my kids, and they're like, Dad, and I'm like, this is my jam, man.
Right? Oh man, no, brother, that's very interesting. And let me ask you something. Me, I came with the parents that they also they split, they got divorced, and I gotta say, was it hard for you for that transition, like growing up to not see your parents, together?
um yeah, in more so the aspect of the life that as a kid I thought, you think that life is going to go this way because you're a naive young child who your dreams are your dreams at that point in time. So it's like, oh, I'm going to live on this farm for the rest of my life, and that's what it's going to be. And then the next thing you know, I'm 1 week at one parent's house, 1 week at another parent's house, and it really it did a lot of damage, I would say, because to this day I still end up sometimes, I get used to having a bag packed, waiting in the car. Like I own my house, like I pay to live here, and I still will be like, I got to keep a few things in the car for what, because I was so used to constantly going and having to deal with the rules of this house, the rules of that house, the drama that came from the parents and whatever the scenarios were that were happening. So it was all over the place. But hey man, that's part of life, and everything I had to deal with and go through is what made me who I am today.
Right, right. That's true. And now I feel like now that you're older, I feel like now you know what to not do with your kids, like there's things that you took, right? You're like, maybe I didn't get this, growing up, or maybe I didn't get a hug, right? Something so simple, you can take it and say, you know what? My kid, I'm gonna give him that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like and that's the beauty. I feel like, you and I, um, like I said, coming from a family of not two, in a household, you know, we see things different. We can see that um basically we see two worlds, right? And it's up to us to continue. I always say you don't want to repeat history by doing the same
Exactly.
as our parents. We want to break the curse and do better. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's one thing that my wife and I, even at our roughest moment or argument or whatever that's happening, because everyone goes through, rough patches of a relationship where you don't see eye to eye on stuff. But the communication level of being real between her and I, and knowing that like whatever happens between us, our kids can feel that energy. They know what's going on, whether we tell them or not. So it's one of those things where, open communication, trying our best. Like, even if she's calling me out, if I'm having a down day and I'm like, no, I'm fine. And she'll be like, no, you're not. Like, don't BS me. Tell me what's going on. So that's the kind of thing that, like, most people would be like, oh, well, I'm just going to be done. And it's like, no, we're not going to be done. We're going to get to the bottom of the problem and figure things out, and then tell our kids, like, hey, this is how you communicate. This is how you figure things out. You have to work through things. You can't just give up because times are tough, or whatever the scenario is. So like you said, really trying to find, like, taking the good things that you learned and you can take, and then taking the bad things that you learned to not do, and really hope that if you can at least catch yourself. And me personally, like, being able to apologize, like if I got snippy or quick with one of the kids about something, and I can come back and be like, look, I'm sorry, I got overwhelmed, I was frustrated, that is not your fault, that was not okay, I need to calm myself down, and you need to know that, like, hey, I'm sorry. Because that's not very often that I would get an apology as a kid about a lot of stuff. So trying to figure that out, and this crazy world that we're living in is one of the biggest things, I would say. Like you were saying, whatever we can learn from good or bad, and take and put the best into my household.
Yeah, that's deep, brother. I'm with you. I'm with you. Staying strong. Now I do want to say, right, one thing I could say that's amazing, right? Looking forward, you being 3 times world champion of power slap, I think is wild. You have to break it down. Please, if I can kind of be a little fan for 1 second. When I saw you fight Azael and you beat him, okay, and just saying this is when you won your second time, okay? I was really proud of you, brother. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I saw him in the first season. I'm not gonna lie, he was acting a fool, getting drunk, getting in trouble, and I see Dana White didn't like that, and he got too many strikes, and I'm like, bro, like when people are telling you you're not good with drinking, right? He was getting too wild and drinking, causing problems, trying to fight, but he didn't really. It's sad to say this, but I could tell he wasn't a fighter. Like he got pushed down. I was like, yeah, you letting this happen because you don't have control. And I said, and I remember when the next we had my boy Manny went to go fight him. He almost won. But when we had you to take out Azael, I was like, yo, I need my boy to win. I need John, John Davis, break it down, And it was I was scared. When I saw the fight, I had my popcorn slurpee. I had everything I need, okay? And I was like, yeah, that's my boy. And it was just so cool to see it. And I was like, it's about time because sometimes when you lose, that's when you become humble sometimes, to wake up and realize, oh, look, I have a lot of things to work on. I have a lot of things to change. And I think, brother, be honest, you finished strong. So I'm proud of you. I just had to share that as a fan. This was my moment to tell you that I was proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And you're not the only one. There was a lot of people that in our first fight, for the title to be handed out, there was a lot of people that were like, hey, I felt the pressure in that aspect of like, hey, he was wiling out in the house and, someone's got to do something about it. And that was one of those, added things I think that really was like, dude, I have to make sure I win. And like you said, once that second fight came around and we went the full 5 rounds, I give him all the credit in the world. Shout out to him, dude. He's a tough motherfucker. He's definitely, from what I understand, he's put the booze down completely and really got himself together. And I'm proud of him, and it was an honor to go up there and share that stage with him multiple times because not only has Power Slap changed people's lives, in a good way for their bank account maybe, or if for the publicity and perfect opportunities like this for us to sit down and talk with you, but it gave, I think, a lot of people more of a sense of purpose. And I really do think him losing that first time made him want to be so much better. And when he came back for our second fight, that was from the first round to where I ate one and stopped him to a 5-round war that is one for the record books. So again, shout out to him.
Wow, brother. No, that was a wild fight, man. I'm not gonna lie. I was sweating for you, brother. And I wasn't even on stage. I was sweating, brother. I probably lost a few calories just watching, you know what I'm saying? But look, I gotta ask you, can you share too, like, you know, what was going through your mind when you won that championship? Like your first one, right? Compared to
Yeah.
like the third or the second and third. Like, do you remember if you could go back? Do you remember that moment?
Oh, once the music turns on, because you're waiting in the back and you get to hear, at least every time for me, I hear my opponent's music. I know they're out there waiting on me. They're usually yelling or stomping around or waiting for me to come out. And as soon as I hear my music turn on, uh, that's pretty much where I just completely let go. Everything, because that's the exact words of my wife when I came around that corner and the camera. She looked at my kids and she goes, "Everything that is nice about your father is gone right now. That is a different man walking up on that stage because." It's where you get to fully be as crazy and psychotic as you want. And usually for me, I'm not hooping and hollering too much beforehand because I'm so you've gone too far. There's no point of return. You've signed the contract, you've made the weight, it's fight day, your music is playing, and you're about 25 steps away from that platform to go up there and do some of the craziest shit in the world. So I was so amped up, and not only with the plenty of messages I got from people about the fight against him, before, my aunt and my brother-in-law were able to fly out, because I had 2 tickets, and they were the ones I was able to ask to come out, and they made it work. So I was grateful for that. And there was a lot riding emotionally, I think, on me, for the fact of the year beforehand, like right before I found Power Slap, I lost my grandfather, my mom, my mom's husband, and my aunt within a year's time. So it was a big thing all at once, and I had nowhere to let my feelings go. And that was one of those things where, once I got into training, and also before the house, I did get a loss for at the exhibitions that we had. So I had tasted defeat in this, and then got it together, used all the power I had in me to move weight classes, come back into the house, be dominant, and then get this opportunity of a lifetime to be a champion. And once I got up there, it was a free for all. And then he hits me, ate it like I always do. And I honestly wasn't too sure. I knew he was tough, especially coming into that one from the house. We'd both had plenty of time to go home and prepare for this. So I honestly assumed that one was going to be a 5-round war. And once I landed that on him, dude, I didn't even know he had gone down until I looked back up, because I followed through. And the way my form went, I ended looking all the way at the other side. So by the time I looked back up, I didn't even know that he had hit his head off the table and was laying on the ground already, till I looked up. And that you kind of see I'm doing this with my hands as I'm sitting there waiting, because I don't know, I'm pulling a Ricky Bobby moment, because I don't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, I'm waiting for him to get up, and then they call it. And at that point, I mean, volcano of emotions, the sadness that I've been carrying, along with the madness that I've been carrying, and then the happiness and joy is all going on at once. That's what I've told people before. Like I was yelling, I was just yelling words at that point, because I didn't even know what to say. So it was just mass amounts of profanity and me screaming, "Let's go," up there, because I didn't know what to say or do at that point. But it was, again, one of the wildest moments and adrenaline dumps and super highs that I've ever felt in my life.
Wow, that's amazing story, brother. I love that. I love that. And please, brother, um, if you could share too, like, how did you get picked out for Power Slap?
I found it, by chance. So rewind back to before the exhibitions. I had just started training at a gym in Alliance, Ohio, Next Level Alliance. I've dabbled in jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai a little bit. I wrestled in high school, so grappling naturally, I took a liking to, and I wanted to just get into the amateur MMA scene. And like many other people, you get on Facebook, there's all these groups and fight forums where people are looking for fighters. As I was going through those and looking through Tapology to see local fighters and what I could get myself into, because I wanted to fight, I wanted to compete, I wanted to get that back that I hadn't had in so long. And then one day, like, all 3 of these forums, this ad popped up: slapping for money, getting paid to slap, yada yada. And I looked at it and was like, man, this is a load of shit. So a couple days went by. I think I posted a comment on something, and then the next thing you know, I'm talking to one of these producers, because they told me to hit them up. And went from a few conversations sitting out here in my garage where I'm at, to next thing you know, I'm walking into the UFC Apex in Las Vegas to meet Dana White. That's pretty much how it went. There's a lot of paperwork and a lot of planning in between, but it was a lot by luck. I think I was dumb luck, because I was dumb enough to sign up for it, and then lucky enough to find it. But I can't be mad about any of it, man. It's been life changing, ups and downs through everything that I've had to deal with so far. But it was just a crazy situation that I never would have imagined to happen, let alone randomly because I posted a comment on something. But it would think it was even more I'll be even more grateful down the road as time goes on, because there were people that they had seeked out, or reached out to come in and try this, and I was one of the few that was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. So low man on the totem pole, no fight career, no social media background, just, your regular average Joe. And then within a short year's time of that exhibition, going 1-1 at heavyweight, I'm undefeated at middleweight and the middleweight champ.
Oof, oof. Man, that's amazing, bro. Look where you at, man. You definitely are inspiring a lot of people, giving them hope. And just to hear your journey on how it started, you being the champ, we're all waiting for that fourth time being world champion. I know you could do it, brother. I know you can. Like I said, I'm gonna be in the background, with my nachos and Cheetos and Slurpee. I have everything ready, but I know, big things are coming your way, brother. I'm really happy. When you do come back to Vegas, let me know, brother, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Vern Cathy is one of my good friends. I
Shout out
actually
to
met
Vern.
him. Right, yeah, yeah.
We
And
were we were roomies together in the house, so I talk to Vern pretty often.
oh, dude, you gotta tell him we talk. You gotta tell him. So he's one of my. I would say out of all the power staff fighters, he is like the closest one. We met in Vegas, and when he came back a second time, he's like, "Brother, you don't mind if I stay at your place for just a day?" I said, "Brother, it's an honor." I said, "Brother, you my people." So he came in. It was so cool to see him like a kid, like me. uh, I'm like 31 or 30. I'm about to be 32 in 2 weeks, but it was so cool because he's like, "Hey, brother, can we play some video games?" Like, I'm kind of in the mood to play some video. I said, "Brother, you for real?" I said, "Dude, let's do it." So we did some videos. We even did some TikTok together, which was really fun. It was like a comedy skit where I did like a voiceover for Chucky, and he did the voiceover for Hank from King of the Hill.
Hmm.
It was so funny. He has it so down perfect, and it was a fun time. But he's one of the people that a very close friend. Manny Muniz. We've partied together. So I'm telling you, John, when you come back, brother, let me know. I'm happy to get the crew together and have a good time. Maybe get a drink.
Absolutely. A good hang sounds good to me.
Right. So look, brother, my last question before I let you go. I know it's a little late. Real quick, if you could share one one last advice that you could give to young people, right? Um, when they trying to follow their passion, or maybe it's to join Power Slap, what would you give to them if you could tell them?
Don't be afraid to fail. You actually have to try, because and this is going to sound super simple, but don't talk about it, be about it. If if you want something more in life, you have to go out and get it. No one's going to hand you anything. No one's no You might get an opportunity, and it's what you do with the opportunity. I was gifted an opportunity with this, that I've said it before and I'll say it again, that it's opened a million doors that I would have never been able to even get my foot in. Um, if you're not willing to try, you'll never know, because you can sit there and complain about how your life is this, and this is wrong, and that's wrong, and this isn't going your way, and work sucks, and yada yada. Well, guess what, dude? You're not the only one. Everyone has something going on in life, and the worst thing that's happened to them in their life is the worst thing. Doesn't matter. You can't compare yourself to one another, because that doesn't do anybody any good. But if you're trying to get into Power Slap, if you're trying to get a promotion at your job, if you're trying to, get in better physical health, you have to go out there and try and start and actually do something. It's one step forward is going to get you closer than sitting there doing nothing. So actually trying and putting in the effort and getting back up when you get knocked down, or when things don't go your way, or if that door gets slammed in your face, find the window, break down the wall, whatever it is that you got to do. You can't give up. And in those moments where you feel like you're completely drained and it's game over, you're just going to go back to regular stagnant life. You need to have somebody, hopefully, whether it's a friend, a spouse, family member, someone to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you didn't talk all that talk and you didn't get this far to just give up and quit. So that's the best thing I can really tell anybody who, if you want more out of life, you got to go get it.
Wow, that was deep, brother. I'm not gonna lie. I, that gave me the chills, brother. I'm be real. That I was like, man, he sounded like a coach, man. I got it signed up. I got it. Well, brother, like I said, it's an honor to have you. You know, guys, this is the Outlets Reality. The holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Choo-ching. Y'all know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the Outlet Reality. My Snapchat's Take One Pass It, and my TikTok is at Yaakov28. And my brother, John Davis, the world champion, 3 times world champion. Where can my fans find you, brother?
At John the Machine Davis on Instagram.